You've been listening to the True Cash Flow Podcast, where we show you our best strategies and techniques we implement to build streams of passive income online, generating millions of dollars in revenue last year alone. To get some of our free training videos, just go to truecashflow.com and we will send you our quick start guide for free.
Welcome back. On a previous show, you heard us talk about the importance of white labeling and making a product your own. Today, we're going to talk all about packaging. It's one of the biggest questions we get is how do you package and how do you decide what the packaging is going to be?
Absolutely. I think that could be one of the easiest ways to stand out and make your product your own.
When do I know when I need my own box or...
Yeah, for what products need packaging?
What I like to do when I'm looking at a product and I see and I know it's a winner, I know it sells well, I know I can compete, I know the margins are there. What I now want to see is I love looking at boxes. It's funny. So, if I go to Walmart or Target,
right.
I'm not looking at the product so much anymore. Now I'm starting to look at the boxes. How are they packaging it? How are they presenting themselves? Is all through making that product the perceived value valuable.
So what are some examples of different packaging that you can do?
So a lot of products, what I can't stand is when I order something from Amazon and it comes in like a poly bag.
Right.
Yeah, like that's so annoying, right? Like it makes the product seem really cheap.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times just doing a basic box is good enough because not every product is going to need excellent packaging. But if you think of it like this, if you've already... based on the white labeling, that's a lot of what we talk about is making the product your own. But another level to that is getting packaging that makes sense. So I'll give you a great example. There was a student that did, it was a really nice, it was in the pet category. So I'm not going to, again, we don't talk about exact products, but let's just say it's in pet supplies, the product. What they did, she was really smart. She took 3 items that were really common pet supplies and put them in an amazing looking box. And the box, it looked like, when you buy a new iPhone or a new Android, you tend to keep the box.
Yeah,
and,
right.
In my closet, like you can't see throwing that box away because they're so nice, right?
Like you paid for the box.
Yeah. And yeah, right. You feel like part of that, $800 you just paid for the phone was, 100 of it was for that box. That's how you
Absolutely.
feel. So even though you're never going to use it, you don't need that box, you still tend to keep it. And, that's what you have to put that same mentality into products that you're going to ultimately source and then in the end sell them for a profit, right? And the way that you stay ahead of everyone else that's trying to do the same thing is you differentiate yourself with packaging.
So how do you go about getting packaging for your product?
So that's a really good point. So we've talked about MOQ, the minimum order quantity on any given product. So we talked about scissors, right? So let's say that we want to sell a bunch of scissors.
Mike Scissors.
Mike Scissors. Yeah, Saru Scissors, I thought they were. But we'll say they're Mike Scissors now for the sake of this example.
Right.
So with those scissors, what we're going to do, right? The manufacturer might say, oh, okay, well, we won't even give you packaging at all if you don't order 3,000 of them. So instead of having to order 3,000 of a particular item just to get their free basic packaging, what you can actually do, and this is a much smarter move, say you don't want 3,000. If you only want 1,000 of them, that's great because you'd be amazed. There's really good quality boxes that you can get for 30, 40 cents. Some are 20 cents. Depends on the size, obviously, the shape. Do you want foam inserts? The pet supplies that I'm talking about, they were really cool because when you opened it, it was like they fit like in a foam insert inside.
Right, so it was like a kit.
Yeah, and see, like it was really clever because that differentiated her from everyone else.
Absolutely.
Everyone was selling each one of those items. Nobody was selling all 3 of those items together. So now that was her product now. She wasn't selling 3 different pet supplies. She was selling one item that contained 3 pet supplies. And they're really good pet supplies.
Good packaging.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So, when you receive something from Amazon, it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to use it right away.
Right, it could be an impulse buy.
That's right. And if you receive it and it's just in like a Ziploc bag,
right,
you might just look at it and be like, oh, this is cheap. I don't really want it. And what do? Send it back, right? Now you receive that and it's a really nice box. And, you know, a lot of pet supplies you're not going to use that day, but you just like, wow, this is really nice. Whether it just sits on your shelf for a few months, whatever, your perception of that product is that it's really nice, just based on the presentation of that product, right?
Absolutely.
In that same exact example, think of it this way. Even if you're not bundling, because that's a really good way to do what I call bundling, you could sell each one of those 3 items, and you could have a box for each one of those items. And so that would be 3 products, right? Each item has its own little cute box.
So why do you do that?
So it's giving you another SKU. So not only are you selling each one of those 3, but you're also selling a 4th item, which is really just those 3 items in a bundle.
So by it's adding a SKU, do you mean that it is adding to the line of products?
That's right, because everyone's ultimate goal, when you're private labeling, when you're doing white labeling, your goal should be, what am I going to sell next? Now, of course, you always focus on what you're doing right now. You want to launch that product, you want it to do well, you want it to take off, but at the same time, you want to start thinking of, what else can I sell to build my store? Because your store, you want that to also gain authority. So when I say another SKU, you're really selling 3 products. Now, you could just take those 3 products, bundle it, you're selling 1 product. You can also take that bundle, that's 1 product, that bundle, those 3 items.
How do you determine when to do that?
So you want to always think of complementary items. So you don't have to bundle right away. But honestly, the cost of each one of those items was like $1. And I think like the box was so nice, it cost like 80, 90 cents. Like the box, almost as much as one of the items.
Wow.
Because it was like an iPhone box. Like even when she showed it to me, I was like, oh my gosh, she was part of the China group. So it was really fun when we were in China together. One of the manufacturers there had just completed it. So she hadn't even seen it she approved the whole process. She knew what she was getting, but it was really cool when she handed it to me and she's like, do you have a dog? And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, wow, this is so good. Like, I felt like this is amazing what you just gave me. Yeah. And there's so many like samples and things, especially when I'm in China, that I'll see, but it's like you only have so much space in your bag, right? So I'll usually bring like an extra bag. So like just the fact that you're willing to bring something home means that it's a winner. Now, people don't have to go to China because you could do all this virtually. But in this example, it was really cool because we were in China, a big group of us in the inner circle, and we got to physically see a bunch of people's products live.
I think it's very reassuring for someone listening. They might be a little bit worried about sourcing from China and the packaging and the quality of the products.
That's right, because China does have a perception, like people think it's junk, right? Like the average person thinks that, oh, it's made in China, it's junk.
Label, right.
But that's so far from the truth. I mean, of course there's junk there, but they also have really good quality. They have really nice...
So you can get good products and good packaging.
That's right. In the packaging, it seems like that's almost their specialty. Like they have because you could do a cardboard box. You could do your own like really nice poly bag. You could, like think of like socks, how they're in like a card, right? Like you buy a pair of socks from Target or Walmart and usually they're hanging there and it's like like really thin piece of paper, like cardboard, I'd almost say,
right,
like wrapped around it. And there's so many different options with that. It's just like when we were talking about white labeling, how you could do all different kinds of logos, embossed, it could be a sticker, it could be a heat transfer, and these are all things that we go through in the course. And, part of the 16-step process is not just differentiating yourself, designs, and standing out from the crowd, but now enhancing that through your packaging and really standing out from the crowd. And at that point, it's not just about standing out from the crowd. It's about presenting a quality product. And believe it or not, I've used this example on previous shows that I've done. The last podcast I did that did over 2.7 million downloads, one of the things that people would always have like an aha moment is when I would talk about the jewelry and how, a really nice, pretty necklace that you look at it and you're like, that's a nice necklace.
Right. Small and lightweight.
that's one of the great things, right? It's small, lightweight, but ordering them on Amazon, it's probably going to come to you just like in a little poly bag, a little tiny square bag, like a little Ziploc, and your perception is going to be it's not that nice. Now, I found some really cool necklaces that it translated to about 80, 90 cents for the necklace, and they were really good quality. Now, you could probably sell that. Well, I saw people selling them for $25, $28, $29 and selling them well. But now taking like a really beautiful, like I found these bamboo boxes that had like felt inside, putting the necklace in that, now automatically, like, can you imagine that, on Valentine's Day, someone gives you like in a little poly bag, like, this necklace, right? And you're like,
what do you do with gift wrap?
That's right. Yeah. You're like, that's interesting. It's like a little tiny piece of wrapping paper on it or something. But now if it's in like a really nice wood bamboo box, like right away, you're going to say, before you even open it, like, wow, something really nice is in here. It's human nature. When something is packaged right, you wrap the package in a way that you could be proud of and that emphasizes the fact that it is a quality product, because it might be really nice what it is. But when you diminish the packaging and you make it so that the perception of the average person is going to be that it's not a quality product, even though it is. So it's a fine line between overkill, right? Like if I'm selling a pencil, like I'm not going to get a fancy bamboo box to sell that pencil. If I'm selling, like plastic cups, we've used that example. Like, and that's even an example. And I don't mind sharing it because I don't know anyone doing it. It's just a product that I was considering, but I have like 50 products on my list that I haven't touched. But what I thought was really cool, like, people love beer pong. They're just cups. And so what do you use with beer pong? You need a ping pong ball and a cup.
Right.
So what was really cool is I found these ping pong balls. I mean, they're just ping pong balls, but they were in like a sleeve that were it was like a cylinder, and it was like heavy, like that sleeve cost more than the ping pong balls. Like the ping pong balls, I think were like pretty good ones. I think they were like, I'm just guessing because I crunched all the numbers. They were good. But let's say that the 6-pack, I know that was around $1. So the 6-pack of in the sleeve was about $1, and just the tube was like, I think like 60 cents, right?
Wow.
Because it was like really, really nice. But so you take that and then you take the cups, and then that's a bundle, right? Because these aren't going to be ping pong balls that a professional ping pong ball, or table tennis, whatever you want to call it. It's not that kind of ball that they're going to use, but they were really nice. When I was going around to the manufacturers, I'm bouncing them, and because I took a couple samples, and it was really good. It held up. I'd squeeze it, but I only give that example because I also saw ping pong balls that, how kids' toys at the grocery store, it's just like on a card, and then it's like glued on there. It's like a piece of like clear plastic that goes on like a card.
Right. And
like a little junk. Like I saw those ping pong, and I'm like, those are junk. They were the same ping pong balls, but even me, I'm like, look at those. They look like they're for like a professional ping pong player. Right. The sleeve, right? They were the same balls. Because I asked the lady, I'm like, well, how much are these ones? She's like, they're the same balls. And I'm looking, I'm like, yeah, I guess they are. I just, even me, knowing how this works and importing like actual products and being an Amazon seller that's really passionate about selling on Amazon, it'll trick me sometimes. Just the fact that it's in really good packaging, I assumed it was better.
Right.
So think of it, you could do a bundle, right? You could do the cups, you could do that. The cups can maybe come, because you got to remember with like, if you're doing like beer pong, you're going to want to reuse it. So maybe there's like a cool sleeve that you also put the cups in. And then like on the side of it is the ping pongs, right? I'm just giving you an example because you could also just get those, those red plastic cups from the grocery store. And you could also just get like, I've seen them at 7-Eleven, just like a couple ping pong balls, and it's nothing fancy, but if you're having a party or whatever, it's kind of cool that you have this nice little kit, and you're not going to pay any more for it. You're just going to pay a little bit more to make better packaging.
So you keep mentioning 60 cents and 80 cents. How much does it cost? Normally, you would say that it would cost for nice packaging.
To use rough examples, so I've seen boxes that you can get for 10, 15 cents. And then I've seen there was this one box this one time. It was like, I think it beat the iPhone box, and it was like $2. But you would only do that if you're selling like a $6-7 product. You can spend $2 on the box if you can see that it already sells for $45-50. You could see you can compete. You could see the margins are there based on landing the product at Amazon.
Do you include those packaging prices in your margins?
Yes. So when I say a landed price, it means I want to know how much is the product, how much is the packaging, how much is the shipping. Then, as we've talked about, all you have to do is use the FBA calculator. It's a tool inside of Google. All you have to do is you can Google it, just put FBA calculator, and it'll help you determine what are the fees that Amazon would charge. Because you got to remember, Amazon does all the shipping, all the customer service, any returns, all the warehousing. Amazon handles that entire process. So you want to know, what is that fee? You want to know, what is my entire cost, including packaging, and what would my cost be if I did cheaper packaging? Because you'll notice, and I've never seen a case where you wouldn't get more money. In my opinion, I've matched them up side by side, that one doesn't have a significant perceived value, spending that extra, just to use a rough example, say if you're willing to spend 50 cents on packaging, it would be good. Now, you can go out of control if you're doing like a really just a phenomenal presentation. Like maybe you're selling like stemless wine glasses and you want to have this really cool box where, they'll put them back in that box when they're done using them.
Right.
Or you could get a box that they're going to open up the package, throw away the box, and put the thing, and it'll just sit in there. But and you know exactly what I mean, right? Like sometimes there's just a box so good that you don't want to throw it away.
My mom does it all the time. She'll leave the wine glasses in the boxes, and they're all in the closet, nicely and neatly tucked away.
Yeah, but it must be a nice box, right?
Absolutely.
It's not like those ones where it's already bent when it comes to you, because you got to remember that too, right? You're going China to U.S., even if you're going coast to coast in the U.S. If it's a product that you're selling that you source domestically, because that's okay, that could work sometimes.
I was gonna ask. So how does that work with if you get a product in the U.S.? Is there packaging made here? What can you do? Well,
and I'll use my own example. Like, I'm glad you brought that up. So the bottles that my supplements come in, they're 30 cents each. And my labels are 5 cents. Really nice, high quality, really cool labels. That's all in the U.S. So I went to the Health and Beauty Expo that was in Shanghai in 2015. I went to the Health and Beauty Expo, and because I know that 30 cents is ridiculous for a bottle. So I'm just giving a rough example. I was going to have to buy the mold. I think that was going to be like around $2,000 because it's a custom size.
Right, and this is something that you walk everyone through. They don't have to know.
You don't have to know any of this. Like
if 30 cents is a normal price.
That's right, because a lot of people might think 30 cents is a good deal.
Right.
But if you're selling tens of thousands of bottles, it adds up.
Absolutely.
And you don't need everything that we're talking about here. If you go to onlinesecrets.net, enter just your first name, your email. I'll give you some really cool training videos because it's really fun to show people. Our purposes here is just to educate them on the process. It's what do you do? Because that's what we always hear is, right, how do I get started?
We get a lot of questions.
And we want them to get started. So if you listening right now, if all this just inspires you to take action, that's what our goal is here, because some of these things seem really daunting. It seems really hard to do.
It's almost scary.
Yeah, and people think like, oh my gosh, China, I'm going to get ripped off, right? And, I'm going to send money to some country and they're going to rip me off. And that's part of why we talk about having an agent there on the ground. Now, I have agents that have done hundreds of thousands of products for us Inner Circle members that I feel I could trust. I send money without batting an eye. I've never worried about it, not even once. Definitely never got burned. Not a single student I know of. It just couldn't happen because that would immediately terminate the relationship between us, the Inner Circle, and the sourcing agent that we use in China. So it gives you that comfort level, knowing that, hey, it's not that scary. There's people that can actually help guide me through the process, not just in terms of helping me, showing me what products make the most sense, but also showing me, how do I know that the margins are there? How do I know I can compete? How do I know that it does in fact sell well? How do I get product ideas? You can get product ideas just walking around your house. But why not do it scientifically where you could actually get product ideas? I know that sounds weird, getting product ideas based on knowing you can compete, based on knowing that the margins are there, and based on knowing that the product is good quality, right? This is what you need to know. And that's why when we talk about packaging, it's something that I have become passionate about, because now to me, it's like everything that I see in life, all I care about, like, I want to see their logo. I want to see their packaging, how they put their logo on there.
So when you walk down a store, the aisle, you'll just watch all the other products and...
Yeah, and you know what? And now people that are listening right now, they're going to start doing the same thing, because they're going to say, I'm curious about, you might see one product. I do that too. I'll see one product in a really cool box. And then I'll think, you know what? I'll put this product in that box. And it's like really fun, because it's like, wow, I would be way different. Nobody's doing that. Now, are other people selling ping pong balls? Absolutely. Are people selling beer pong kits? I'm sure they are, right? It's a good seller. A lot of the sports and outdoors, a lot of the fitness things, it's like you can make that product your own through not just packaging, having really cool logos on there. I really like a style where it's metal and it's kind of engraved. I really like that. And that's a cool, like, logo that you can put on your product.
Engraved?
Yeah. So have you ever seen, like, on a pen? So one of the products, like, I don't want to, again, say what the product is. It was a kitchen item.
Right.
And it was almost like etched, which was really cool. It was like engraved, but I can't remember the term in Chinese that they use, but it's almost like acid kind of on there to, like, kind of gray it out.
Right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And it looks really cool though, because, like, engraving, you're thinking it's like in the metal, right? It's like, think of like a little drill going like in the metal and like engraving it, right?
Right.
Where this is more like an etch, but they have a different term,
right.
But I'll see that, and then I'll think, wow, like, I should do, like, I'm thinking everything metal now. I'm like, oh yeah, I should etch like a really big, logo on that, and, just make it my own and make it look cool. So just to recap, packaging could be applied in so many different ways. It could be, if you really want to do like a Ziploc bag, maybe it's going to be like a unique one, right? Not just like what everybody receives stuff from Amazon in. You could do that really, really cheap. But think of packaging that not everything is always going to need packaging, but what you really need to do is think of every product that you're considering. It meets the criteria. The margins are there, right? It sells well. Are the margins there? Can I compete? You've conquered those three things. Because just like you asked me, right? Like, how do you know when to do packaging? Well, think of it this way. Think of a way you could do packaging. Try and figure out a way that you could incorporate packaging that's unique, that looks cool, that gives perceived value, because I can't emphasize enough that selling quality has so many benefits. Not just repeat buyers, but not just really good feedback. Because, people, if you sell them junk, they're going to come and get you. You might make a bunch of money, but they're going to come and ding you on your reviews. They're going to return.
And I would think you can sell it for a higher price as well.
That's right. Because and I know a lot of people are the same way. When I'm looking to buy something on Amazon, I tend to go for the most, just because in my head, it's like it's a better product.
You assume that it's better than the cheaper one.
Yeah, like I'm thinking, okay, I know it's $7 or $8 more, but it has to be better. In fact, a good example, and I don't recommend selling batteries and electronics, but I had to buy a spare set of batteries for my GoPros and my Canon Mark 7s, right? I have two of each. So I'm looking at batteries and they look really similar. And I just said, you know what? Like, one of the pairs I think was $20. Another pair was like $30. And automatically I buy the one that's $30 because I'm like, those are for my cameras. I want them to be good. So in my head, all they probably did is just raise the price $10,
right.
But they sold me and I'm like, it has to be better because it cost more. And I don't want to buy a $20 battery for my,
and waste your time,
$700 camera. Yeah. Cause I'm thinking like, I don't want a junky battery. So just that it cost more. In my own perception, it was that it was better. And it was in a cool box and all that. The other one was in like, really generic. You see, like, I'm looking at the box and I'm thinking, oh yeah, like if they're using that junky of a box, it's probably not a really good battery. The other one, they're probably identical, really. They're probably built in the same factory that just different logos put on each one, right? Because they're the same size. So, a battery's a battery when it comes to a camera. So, but a battery's not a battery. What's inside of it is what counts, right? It's obviously going to be the same size, but it's what's inside that counts. So to recap, what you really want to do is focus on how you could package any item. We've already gone through, how do you know the products that sell well? How do you differentiate yourself? One of my favorite things to talk about is how do we market products? How do we stand outside of everybody else in terms of marketing, right? We know how to be better than other people in terms of finding good quality, really good packaging, differentiating yourself with logos, making the product your own, going through reviews to make sure that any negative reviews you see, you might want to try and fix that problem. But if you want to check out my free video report, go to truecashflow.com, enter just your first name and your email, and I'll meet you on the other side.
You were listening to the True Cash Flow Podcast. If you would like our free training videos, go to truecashflow.com, enter just your first name and email address, and we will meet you on the other side. The information presented in this podcast is intended for your educational and informational purposes only. None of the statements contained in this podcast should be viewed as a prediction, guarantee, or promise that participating in our recommended programs will result in you generating a certain amount of income or achieving any level of monetary success. Success in any endeavor is based on a number of factors, including but not limited to hard work and capital resources. There are inherent risks in any business opportunity, and caution should be exercised before applying our information. You are encouraged to consult your attorney, CPA, or financial advisor before doing so.